Where's Toby at?
And we're live.
No
Hello and
joke.
welcome. Episode 115. I am sicker than a dog, having gone out to the Ethereum conference there in Austin, Texas, and but I don't want to miss this show because we've got a streak going. So dedication.
You are here.
I look like shit. My eyes are bloodshot for you people who are not watching live. And but you can probably hear us
Looks
on
like
shit
you've
too.
been smoking some of that devil's lettuce, huh?
Not this time, no.
I hope you feel better, man.
I'm sorry
Thanks.
you're so sick.
Take your vitamins.
Yeah. The ETH conference was amazing. I met like so many people, and I've got like a bunch of cool updates to give probably next time. But yeah, it was incredible. And I guess getting sick was just kind of like part of meeting so many people and telling them about Pulse Chain and Hex. So I guess
That is
it's all
the
good.
problem of traveling to those conferences. You do get around a lot of unknown germ spreaders.
There were like I got the contact info of like a ton of people who are really cool, like OG crypto guys, big footprint in the space. And a lot of them said that they also got very sick after the conference. So
Oof.
makes sense. But yeah, I mean, there's
So how was the conference though? Since you're here right now, like was it pretty good? Looks like you guys had a lot of fun. I saw some pictures.
Yeah, I got to take pictures with a bunch of like famous people in crypto, and then I got a follow from Mike Novogratz today.
Nice.
You guys know who that is?
Digital Galaxy Bank.
Yeah, he always goes on like the mainstream TV shows to talk about Bitcoin. He's probably in the top 3 speakers like on Bitcoin.
He's got a big
during a bull market.
tattoo of Luna on his arm.
Oh shit.
That's all right.
But yeah, I mean, like he has over 400,000. I think he has close to 500,000 followers on Twitter, and now he's gonna see every time not every time, but he's gonna see my posts about Hex and Pulse Chain.
Nice.
Because he decided to follow me because we got a picture together, and that's kind of like a cool strategy. And shout out to Funding Jim, who also like he was giving people tips on how to do networking. I'm already like well versed in networking, but I really appreciate him and everything he does for the space.
Yeah, Novogratz is a big name in crypto. I used to watch him when he went on to the news shows talking about Bitcoin and stuff, and so he's been a big person to help move crypto into the mainstream. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and there's some other connections that I made that I'm going to follow up on. I can say that Crypto Coffee, he was focusing on trying to get Pulse Chain more fiat on and off ramps. So he was like targeting 5 different groups that do that, and he was spending the entire conference focused just on that. So
nice.
Like I think a lot of good is going to come out of like people from our community volunteering to go advocate for Pulse Chain. The majority of the people that I met, they had never heard of Pulse Chain, and they're interested in it because we were able to throw down being in crypto for so long. People just gravitate towards competent people. So yeah, really cool. And so yeah, I might have like some surprises coming for like trying to get some things going of my own with the Ethereum, the people that I met at the Ethereum conference. But yeah, I hope that I get over this cold fast so that I can get back to work on all that.
All right.
And I did a full breakdown of like how the Maddie token launch went on Hex Therapy Live. So if people haven't seen that, that's good to see. And we can discuss it next time as a group, I think, with Tobiwan and everybody. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, I think some people have questions about some stuff about it.
Well, did they watch the episode on Thursday?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't
because everybody
yeah,
everybody who watched that seemed to be satisfied with like the answer, how I addressed it. So like that can be an ongoing issue, because the point is to learn and to educate the audience, as we did last week on the show. So
the one other question that I had, and I didn't watch the show, is it the plan to become a $20 stable coin?
So that's a meme that was put into a lot of the tweets, and I think it's particularly interesting that a lot of like coins, when they launch, they get sniped in the initial supply. So you get a price that's too low, and then like with Hex, you got a price that was too high. In my opinion, like if Hex never went above 5 cents, you'd have a whole lot less butthurt down here at a penny, right? And
Right.
And so it's like naming a goal that's 20x higher, that I believe like kind of put a cap, and then there was a liquidity removed so that there could be a V3 position at just above $20, and that would have also stopped it from going higher than $20. And so when we experiment with like what are the best, what are the fairest ways to launch a token, like if you're not happy with the 10x or 20x that you saw in Maddie token in one day, like maybe it wasn't for you. But there was like an intention ahead of time stated, to say it would be great if this didn't go higher than that. And so like in your wallet, you don't have just $1 bills. You have $20 bills and maybe other stuff too. But so like, so that was part of the meme as well.
But these cryptos they're highly divisible. So I think that negates the.
You're being too much of a utilitarian, Brisology. Like it's a meme, like it's not
not totally,
not to be taken literally per se. And go back and look at my tweets and look at my streams when I wasn't sick from going to an in-person conference to pump your guys' bags, and when I was thinking clearly and like, look at what I wrote, not financial advice, basically no expectations. And overall, I think that that it was a really good experiment to show, and Funding Jim coming on to show like how something can not get sniped and have kind of a ceiling put on it from the beginning. That launching with high liquidity to start, that was also something that isn't typical. And so we got to see a lot of things, and there was more volume in Maddie token than ink on the first day, and that just shows you like the appetite of people who want to gamble, in such a short time frame. So
shows us how many people just want to gamble.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, as soon as you leave, we're going to turn Maxi. This is going to be a Maximus channel.
Love it.
And we're going to talk about how tokens are evil. So
do it.
Yeah.
Don't listen.
The Ethereans and Mike Novogratz and the Bitcoiners, they might be watching. So that'll fit right in. Right.
Evil, I say evil.
Well, guys, I'm gonna get some rest because I'm still not feeling too well. I think Tobiwan is getting over being sick himself, and he might join a little bit later on. I think he's planning to, but you guys can take Brisology. You have the controls to this, right? So you can shut it down. And
I have no responsibility.
I can rug it.
Great.
We can rug it.
Perfect.
So we'll do 22 minutes of.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you back here soon.
Yeah, go get better. Make sure you get vitamins. Stay hydrated.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
See you, Maddie.
Peace out.
Peace. Oh man, thank God he's gone.
All right.
Now we can really have a show. Right. I hope that Maddie feels better. Ooh, I hate getting sick, man. I know I went to Vegas at one time. I got the COVID. So.
All right.
The vid.
So did you know X.com is now allowing porn?
Now they are. I think that was already the case, but
yeah,
I mean,
right.
I don't really search. I really don't use that to search for porn, but maybe I guess.
I know sometimes like I'll make a comment and then I'll see like a really pretty girl like the comment like really quickly. I'm like, damn, these bots, these freaking bots. I thought someone was liking my comment. It's just a fake girl bot. But
you get girl bots, I get boy bots.
You know, I had a thought, and I wanted to, wonder what you thought about this. Was I just heard the other day because of the Trump verdict. He was found guilty. He raised $200 million, probably a little bit more, but this was like since yesterday. He raised like $200 million, and people are like freaking out. They're like, "Oh my God, look how much money he got." Meanwhile, I'm looking over at Richard Hart, and he has, he raised at least like $600 million in stable coins. That's like 3 times the amount of the former president. And I just kind of find that amazing, like look how much more money. I mean, Richard did have a lot longer to collect it, but I mean, man, kind of makes you think, like,
Well, there's a lot of money out in the world, man. I mean, there's a lot out there. I mean, not just that so much has been printed, but a lot of people. I know all of us aren't exposed to it, right? But there literally are hundreds of thousands of people that have money, like big money, right? So yeah, it's not surprising that could happen. But yeah, I get your point. Making a big deal out of 200 million. Meanwhile, you have this other guy maybe with $1 billion, right?
Yeah,
And
Richard has $1 billion. It's crickets, right?
Not for me, but yeah, yeah. Just in general, people are like making a big deal. Hey, at some point he'll show up in Forbes or something, right? He'll hit the list.
So I got inside the dojo today. Thought I'd change it up.
I saw that, man. I was like, I need a dojo, but I didn't change it. So
yeah,
maybe I'll find your dojo and I'll come to your place.
Come on over. Freaking, we'll swing the nunchucks around.
The nunchucks. Not me, buddy. Not me. I've only done all the things that you can do wrong with nunchucks. So.
Josh Th. Richard did an epic wealth accumulation. Very true. I mean, it was quite epic. Whoever can raise the most money should just be de facto president, maybe.
Maybe so.
Did you hear Thailand just approved their first spot Bitcoin ETF?
I did not hear that. I did not hear that.
It happened like I think in the last day or so. And dude, this feels like it's just gonna be one after another. Boop, 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 boop. And before you know it, the whole world's gonna be on crypto. Germ theory, gang.
Germ theory. I was gonna pull something. I'm gonna pull my Hex Maximalist sheet up. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit.
All right.
Assuming I can find it.
I have a here. Well, I have something already staged up. If you want to look at this while you find it,
Yeah.
I've been doing the 30 days of gay memes.
Oh, that's. I'm not sure that's the right word anymore, but okay.
Well, I mean, June is Pride Month, right?
It is. It is. But I'm not sure you can just use that word.
Really? No, I'm from California. I'm allowed to use that
I
word.
don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
So this first one I thought was pretty funny. This one uh is from quite a long time ago. I saw this comic, and so I kind of just adapted it to Hex. And she just says, "So are you like gay or something?" He goes, "What?
Oh, that's
Oh,
so funny.
what pride flag is that?" And it's a Hexagon flag. And
Oh,
she's
so
like
funny.
lost for words.
Wah, wah, wah.
Then I have a couple other ones.
I don't know,
Does
man.
that
Keep going. I'm so old. Like I got to try to figure out all this stuff. Like I just learned about situationships this week.
man jailed in Turkey for 20 days just because he looks gay?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure Maddie was thinking we were going in this direction when he left, but
And this is the guy behind the NFT pick
I like the
telling you to
spider.
heck
I like the
stuff.
Spider-Man mask.
All right, look at that.
You're killing me. You're killing me. Oh man, I am so not publicly correct. But at some point, I hope to be so crotchety that I can say whatever I want to say. But then again,
So I had an idea. I was talking to somebody last night, and I was helping them figure out some stuff, and I had kind of an idea, and I was
we still
thinking,
talking about Gay Pride Month.
no,
Oh, okay, all right. Let's
I
check.
was
See if we
thinking,
switched.
I think everybody should have a Pulse X farm, and they should be trying to acquire one whole ink a day.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I like that theory. I don't know about everybody, but I definitely think that's
if you go into the high APR farms, which I think last night was like 75%, it only takes about $1,200, 600 on each side to make about one ink per day. And if and so my whole like idea is that, hey, if you're earning one ink per day, and eventually, I mean, a lot of people are calling for $1,000 ink. Now I don't know if it'd ever get there, but why couldn't it? It can't. Like anything can get to any price, but a lot of people think ink can get to $1,000. And so if you're earning one ink every day, if it does hit $1,000, you've made RetroPay $1,000 a day. How's it going, Toby?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? I had to. I've been fighting. I don't know if it's the virus. I didn't bother testing this time because, like, the last time I got it, it was pretty much like a cold. Last Tuesday, I had a terrible migraine and had to call off the show. I left poor Briz out there fighting the good fight for DeFi to push back on Maddie token. And I think I'd been in bed like, dude, I don't know, 12 hours or something. And then later that evening, I was watching it on the replay. And I'm like, dude, you just wait, Maddie. You wait until I'm back next Tuesday. And then I felt better.
leave Maddie alone, man. Leave Maddie alone.
And
I felt better.
And now
that
that you
works.
had your chance, Maddie runs away.
What? He's not on tonight at all?
Nope.
No, he's sick. You gave him whatever you had.
Oh, I passed along the crud. Yeah, I even had to shave my mustache because it was full of snot. So I'm just kidding.
Ew.
That's disgusting.
That's not good.
No, it was
Hey,
it set you right up for the pun. So what's shaking? What did I miss this week? I've been
we were talking right now just about ink. We should close that topic off. But I know you're an ink farmer too,
dude. I love ink.
So of course, I think I feel pretty strongly that I need to have my hex all straightened out and have a ladder first. But when we are talking about pulse chain, I think that the farms have treated me really well. I mean, I heard all the stuff that people said and made my own decisions though. And so I went into the farms early and stayed. Mm-hmm. And yes, I did harvest some and swap some out and do some different things. But by and large, right, I'm not even a compounder, really. I mean, I had done some compounding when it felt like it made sense to me, but now I'm just accumulating as much ink as I can. Now I'm not the big ink guy, right?
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting to me? And maybe you can reaffirm this for me. And of course, I don't look at it every single day, and I'm sure there's some variance in there, but it seems minimal, like minuscule. The PulseX ink farm, I don't know if they just move so similarly to each other, which it doesn't seem like they do, but maybe since I've been paying attention. But it's like the big concern a lot of people have with farming is like, oh man, when ink goes up, I'm going to lose all my ink. And and ink's done better than everything else from the lows, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, maybe, because it's like what I've been seeing is my ink numbers staying pretty consistent in the PulseX farm.
Yeah,
in particular.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I've seen on both those farms, which end up being larger farms. But yeah, for me, anyways, because early on I had done that recompounding. But yeah, yes. I agree with you. I look at the numbers like, they're not changing, so not going up really high or going down. But I think we also have advantage of time in the game, right? Because Hex came out, or not Hex, but Pulse Chain came out pretty high at first with the ratios, and so we've already. I guess you might argue that we're coming down for a second time to the bottom, right? So that we might have completed a full cycle, and so grabbing ink as it goes up and down and through that cycle has been useful to me. And so even though we got the impermanent loss, it flopped, right? Like I don't feel bad at all. Like having, I get that. And listen, I can talk about percentages too, but I get that the percentage is low for PulseX. The two of them together, right? That's a relatively low number, but it is still very steady, good reward levels. And from my point of view, I just want exposure to both PulseX and Pulse, right? Because I got both those narratives going on in my head all the time, and people are talking. Get all the Pulse boys out there. They're like, Pulse is the one that's going to go up, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I guess it'll go up. And then you have the other people, no, PulseX is going to go up because of the burning, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess it'll go up. And then, all that kind of argument back and forth. So I like having that exposure because just whichever one comes out, I'll do fine with it. Right. Meanwhile, I'm getting ink.
Pip Shinobi, I feel that pain, bro. I feel that pain.
At that current prices,
right? That's
$1,200 to make $2.5 a day. However, if you spend that $1,200 today, and if ink goes up to 100, 500, or maybe that magical 1,000, that all of a sudden turns into $1,000 a day for a $1,200 input, and it's all retroactively back paid.
Let's analyze that a little bit further. Well, what is that APY? Let's just assume you had that for a year. At the numbers he put up on the screen, what do you think the APY is? I did the calc. Just guess.
75.
Yeah, 76%. So it's very misleading, right? And I think a lot of us have number bias. I know I do, right? I look at a number and I'm like, this has got to be wrong. How could that be 76%, or whatever? Because it doesn't seem like $2 a day will do that. And I think what it is that we're all screwed up with chasing all these shiny objects and like the 1,000%, and everybody wants to see everything go up 50, 60%, 100%. And we know that happens, right? Price appreciation. And there's even some pools that come out and they're super hot, right? I'm tracking some now that are paying 275%, 400% a day, right? I mean, not a day, APY, but in a 24-hour period. But the thing is you need to get. I think people need to remember, get centered back to what an APY is, what a decent APY is. The reason you're seeing what's the farm Pulse X, like 12% right now, 15%.
Yeah, about 15, I think.
Yeah, I think the reason you're seeing that is because that's something that's supportable long term, right? That number could be out there. Anyways, my point is don't just. You need to do a little bit of analysis rather than just throw out and say, "Oh no, $2.50 a day on 1,200 is not very good." That is really good, man. Let me tell you, if you can guarantee me for forever that that's what I'm going to get, I'll go in that pool and I'll never leave. Now I know it can't be guaranteed, but pay me 76% APY.
Yeah.
Hurt me. I'll take it.
Pretty amazing.
But I think that's part of our crypto bias, right? That we get into.
I have a question.
Sure.
You are pretty well versed on the LP of things. I had this thought the other day, and it's, obviously we've got this huge influx of shitcoinery that's been going on for quite a long time. Some are, there's some turds that smell a little worse than others, but effectively they all kind of fall under the shitcoin thing. Some people are better at doing it fairly and, providing LP and giving value to the things that they're putting out there. Others are your standard pump and dumps. Here's the question. If a large number of those types of things are liquidity bonded to Pulse, by the sheer fact that they're all going down, would Hart's law apply? And they are actually part of the drag down on Pulse?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Anything that's connected, right, is going to be either one way or another affected.
And here's why I bring it up. Because everyone is saying, hey, adoption for Pulse Chain, blah, blah, blah. That's all the rallying cry of like why they do these other things, because they're going to get people over. And again, like, what I just said a second ago, some communities and some creators are better at that than others, at actually bringing value onto Pulse Chain and showing, Pulse Chain to other communities. But across the board, the argument is, hey, more activity on Pulse Chain, more people seeing activity there. That's going to bring people in. Whether or not that's true, it's hard to say. But the caveat to that is it net positive if the majority of the things that are being built on Pulse Chain are going down and are paired to Pulse Chain and pulling the price down? Because it's like, yeah, maybe it gets some attention because you see, XYZ coin pump, but then someone comes over and just sees by and large the whole ecosystem going down. I mean? I don't know.
I think it's very conditional, though. I mean, I say that yes, they're attached, right? And by the way, I'm sure somebody can answer in the chat knows better than me about it, right? But I'm just saying that because they're connected, yes, the ratios will be affected, right? But I think it depends on what's exactly happening. Like, we're having a lot of talk these days. Even Briz and I were talking to some people today where, if you're swapping from token to token, what you're doing is you're changing those ratios, right, between the tokens. I mean, it's not necessarily new value coming in. It's a bunch of people playing Monopoly with the same bank, right? And so we're just trading those values back and forth. Now, I think the key question, Toby, is when they're selling, what are they doing with it? So yeah, I think if they're exiting the stables, potentially, right, by selling down to exit to go to stables, or bringing value that way, bringing the value out in that direction. I mean, that's an angle. I guess that's something worth thinking about a little bit further for me. I haven't.
Next week. Next week, that'll be the question.
Yeah. Well, I think it tags along, and this is not. Listen, this is crypto, right? So we're going to be. We're going to be LPing things together, right? That's the whole idea, right? But it does bring up the question in my mind, because, I'm thinking longer term. Meaning I'm trying to plan for what I'm doing in 25, 26, 27. And I expect maybe 25, 26, early 26, we're going to hit a top, right? So I need to do all my planning for that and just have an idea of what I'm doing, how I'm supporting everything that I do. So things that are coming through my mind is, well, during this next 20 months, how do I move closer to Pulse? How do I move closer to Pulse? Why do I want to move closer to Pulse? Because I know the further I get out from Pulse value and the less Pulse pairing that I have, or potentially, stables, not P stables, but stables from Ethereum, that I know that I could be at the long end of a chain of tokens, and I'm going to get stuck because it happened to me in 2017 and 18, one more 18 and 17, but it happened to me in 2018. I was way over here, and back then there wasn't DEXs the way we have them today, but I was way over here, and there was no way to get back to ETH. Liquidity dried up, and I was sitting with tokens, and they went down 99%, and in that case, they did not come back, right? So it kind of reminds me of that conversation about how do I stay closer to home? Yes, there's more opportunities, and there's a lot more volatility out there, but first one out the door, I guess, right?
Musical chairs. Yeah, there you have it.
I'm just kind of wondering how the market is gonna play when like it really starts pumping up and we really start seeing people really sell down their assets. I'm just wondering if the meme guys sell down, like, will their things sell down harder? Because it's, because they're probably going to want stability coins. And it seems to me that most of the stable coins are paired with all the RH assets.
Well, yeah, but you got at least a 3-sided chicken race going on, right?
Yeah.
Because you can have, so you and I are in a token, and if I'm just making this up, and we both have that meme token, and we're facing off. Can I get out? Am I going to stay long enough to get the higher gains, or you? And who's going to get out first? But then Toby's the market maker, and he ain't giving his money away. That's not the plan, right? So he's there to facilitate the market. So what will he do versus what we do? And I know people will call it rug pulling, but yeah, market makers will reduce their risk, and all of a sudden,
liquidity.
Yeah, they're going to pull some of the liquidity or all the liquidity, because they're, you got to think of it the same way as we think about it, right? If you're a market maker, yes, there are benevolent market makers that are interested in supporting things, but
right
there, but what kind of what's the market maker going to be able to do for you if all they do is hold all the token and gather as much of it as possible at the top and have no value at the bottom?
Right. Yeah.
That's the token.
I think that's what a lot of people miss is like not to, dispel the notion that that market makers are important, but I'm just going to kind of dumb it down. Like, cause I would, for me, I like things simple. So I like when I even have Crispy explain things to me, I'm like, dude, talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old. You're not going to offend me. I want to really understand. I don't want to pretend like I understand. My understanding of market making is basically they're the other side of the trade, right? So if other people start to flood out of said token, then they're going to pull, let's say, all the pulse from that pool, and then that market maker is going to be sitting there with all of the XYZ coin, and and on a hope and a prayer that maybe there's going to be some injection of capital back into that or interest where people start buying it again and swapping it back for his pulse. So at some point, it does make sense for them to take to de-risk, right? And since they are in LP providing, the way for them to de-risk is to get their. It's like us pulling out of the farms, right? Like if we're concerned, we're going to end up more with one token than the other, and we don't want that to happen. How do you de-risk from that? You pull yourself out of the farm. It's not very different.
And now there's less coins in that farm, and the prices shoot in either or direction, right?
Right. Yeah. Farming is a little different because it's like, it's a more stable thing, and there's so many participants. Where the example that Crispy and I were talking about, it was more like the meme coin sector, so to speak.
Yeah.
A lot of times there aren't large portions of people that are participating in those LPs, and then it's kind of at the whim of a guy or a girl that could just be like, you know what, I don't want to end up stuck with all these. It looks like things are moving the wrong way. I'm out of here. And then there goes the majority of your LP. We saw that the other day when in some tokens a friend of mine created, where the LP got thinned out and the price moved crazy. And then like all of a sudden the LP thickened back up. And it's like, well, who did that? And everyone's like, I don't know. And that's how it goes. Yep.
Tobler Roos had a question. It says, how safe are the farms from attack? Do you guys have an answer on this? I mean, they feel pretty safe.
We're going to have to talk to farm security. I think about this.
Contract risk, right?
Yeah, that would be my understanding. And I mean, and there are copies of I had it and I lost it. Pancake Swap is that PulseX, the farming copies of Pancake, right?
Pancake or sushi, I forget.
See, I can't remember. But whatever the case, those have been around for a very long time. And if that, so I would imagine if there was any exploits or weaknesses in those codes, that those would have been sussed out by now. So I feel pretty confident in it. But, as always, do your own research, check stuff out. All these other things that are popping up, like Crispy was alluding to earlier with these huge APYs and stuff. Anytime you're participating in any other market outside of PulseX, it's like you're introducing counterparty risk. For me, I don't consider the PulseX farms counterparty risk because it's still all in the RH ecosystem. It's all stuff that he and his team have created. So even though that maybe isn't 100% accurate, it just feels more like I'm not going outside of the community to see what's out there and see if I can make a bunch of money. And like we saw that before, what was it, like Beats or something? There was some weird thing. I think Sammy got soaked for a bunch. Beetroot, yeah. So it's like, where there was an exploit or a weakness or something bad happened, right? And it's like, and people were chasing yield on these other things. So it's like, you got to be careful, do your research, find out, if there are copies of something that's legit, see if they've been audited. All the same rules apply for the DYOR. So, do your research before you go chasing waterfalls, right?
But again, I just want to bring it back to what sparked this whole conversation. I was talking to a buddy last night, kind of talking to him about farms, and I kind of came down to the conclusion where I'm like, everyone should have a farm that generates at least 1 ink per day.
Well, yeah, that's from your theory of the possibility of it going to $1,000. And so if I have 365 of those, that's a pretty nice hit.
Boom. Right?
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't get to 1,000, it's still,
listen,
200 seems reasonable.
I was amazed at 80. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I mean, give us $100 or whatever. But I don't know. It's always going to come down to what people do. What we do. I think we're into June now, so I think we can dispose away with the idea that there's any regimented halvening with the ink. Meaning it's just halvening as it gets emitted. But meaning for those who didn't know, there was at least one theory out there that devs were going to be on a yearly schedule to have it. And so instead of getting 1 per second, you would get half of ink per second. So that didn't happen. But it could happen in the future, but let's put that aside. So we know that the number goes up, but the percentage inflation goes down. And, there are a couple people or a couple users who really did accumulate a ton of that ink, and they didn't sell it off. And so now you have a very, I don't know if they talk to each other or know each other or anything like that, but I mean, you have a smallish group of people that control most of the ink. And the only way you can generate ink is by farming, and if you own a bunch of ink, you can do a lot more farming by having those pairs. So anyways, I think we're in a situation where those market makers really have some control over what's going to happen.
The ink cartel.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying that because of my knowledge, there is no ink cartel. But I'm just know that there are several people that we knew. Because you see the wallets, right? I assume several people. They did a ton of accumulating, and while I swapped some out at 80, they didn't.
I bought a little bit at 40.
And they got for me too.
Idiot, like an idiot.
Well, got to trade, Briz.
You know what? I took a risk.
You took the risk.
And I got burned. No, it's all good.
It happens.
Well, after hex staking, farming on PulseX is my next thing that I love, and then of course, because I'm involved with 9inch, I also like farming on 9inch, but not the core system. But again, that's a step away from PulseX, and remains to be seen if PulseX brings its level of services up to all of the other dexes that are out there. I expect that it will. But I think one of the things is for sure is, even though I think this is true, I think the primary volumes, overall, are going through PulseX, either V1 or V2. The majority, I believe, is the case versus all of the other dexes.
I like the other dexes because they can battle harden the code, and then once the PulseX devs deem it good enough, they can adopt it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a strategy I think you brought up in the past, right? Kind of them testing the features, and then possibly they get folded into PulseX. Maybe it's not official testing, but I mean, you see them out there and they're working, because we know everything isn't perfect, right? I mean, nothing's perfect, but we know that there's lots of inefficiencies in the market.
Cool. And Toby, do you have anything to bring up?
I don't know, man. It's like I've been a little out of the loop this week. It seems something I did find interesting, because it's like my level of like ability to deep dive into complicated things is so obvious. I'm sure it's the same for everyone. If you're not feeling great, you don't want to do a bunch of math. You don't want to do a bunch of like hardcore learning. So you're kind of like falling back on like the reality TV of the world, right? Like just like the fluffier entertainment. And I've always loved Hexo. And, I do participate in a little infotainment over with What the Hex guys on Thursdays. And I've always kind of looked at Hexo that same way. He's very entertaining, provides a little bit of information with that. But from watching him the last week, I've never seen him so cynical, So it just kind of it got my wheels turning. Like, man, is this like a bottom signal? Like when even the hexologist is really, really salty about how shit all the RH product prices are. And he's talking about getting a job, and it's like, man, so he's having a rough time, and he's got some health issues too. So prayers for Hexo. I've got a family member with Crohn's disease, and it's no joke. So all my best to him and his family.
Hexo.
So that's a tough battle. So I'm sure that's not making him exactly the most warm and fuzzy guy either, if he's got that going on. So definitely not disparaging him. But I just found it interesting. Like, damn, it's like even like the cheerleader of all cheerleaders for Hex is like, fuck this place. So
who doesn't say that 10 times a day?
Right. Well, I mean, I've been pretty bipolar myself. Like Thursday, I had my Butch Walker t-shirt on. I'm a big music fan. I like live and die for going to see live concerts. And Butch Walker, I love his stuff. And he's got this really cool t-shirt that I got years and years ago. And it's just this little Bambi image. And it says, fuck your, and then underneath, bad vibes. So like that, like on Thursday, I was wearing that. And then today I'm wearing my Postal Service 20th anniversary t-shirt. And it was a 20th anniversary tour of their album, Give Up. So I went from fuck your bad vibes to this, to 4 days later. I'm like, I'm ready to give up, dude.
What's happened over the last couple of weeks that coincides with this popular opinion being very negative, the sentiment, right? Prices went down.
Yeah.
Right. And so I saw that. Now I'm not putting words in anybody's mouths, but I did listen to Hexologist. I got kind of a similar read. I don't know the details why KDP isn't streaming any longer, but I saw that. Somebody was saying that at least temporarily. I'm hearing from multiple people I know they're pretty experienced. They're all experiencing the emotions. I'm experiencing them as well. Like, yes, this has been a long slog. It's been long. The only thing I can say is that I believe every cycle feels kind of like this.
True.
Yep. Well, and you know what, Crispy, you said something earlier, and as you said it, I kind of bristled. And then like in my mind, I'm doing the math, and I'm like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong, because you're talking about late 25, early 26, right? And what have we all been doing? We've all been guilty of this in our personal assessment, and then also by putting it out there into the universe of thinking, hey, we're going to hit all-time highs this September, which even like coming out of my own mouth, it's like I was trying, like maybe there was a little bit of hopium or copium in there. And I'm looking at like the fractal from like the last all-time highs and how we are following it. And there is an outside chance that there's some sort of crazy thing on the second run up for Bitcoin later this summer, and then the alts come with it. Maybe. However, reality is it's a 4-year cycle, bros. And if our top was in September of 21 for Hex, why would it all of a sudden become a 3-year cycle?
You're wrong. This time's different, man.
And it's like,
listen, yeah, we got.
Do I want it? Yeah, I want it. I want it to be sooner. I want it to be sooner. Even if I'm not ready to cash out, I want my fucking bags to look like they're worth more than they are. You know,
be ready. Be ready for it. Be ready for it.
Yes. Yes.
But don't expect that that's the only possibility, right? So I'll throw this. Somebody was saying this last week, and a friend of mine that we were talking in a group of people, whatever. But he was saying, hey, what this is. Everything is so, he was just feeling so negative, right? Everything is just not going according to plan. And I'm looking at, wait a minute, what was I doing 4 years ago? 4 years ago, it was June of 2020. Other than the Godwill had come into Hex, nothing was going on. The price was kind of going down. We had a resurgence not till July, because it just saw that Hex. And then DeFi summer, I didn't know what the hell DeFi was, and I sure as hell didn't know what farming was. But that came and went in August, and then by September, of 20, things were beginning to roll upwards. But it wasn't like, I mean, I'm certain that some people made tremendous gains all over the place, but it wasn't the top of the market. It was not, and so we're kind of like in the same type of range. So if things are going to rhyme and kind of be close, yeah, we'll finish out this year. There'll be some volatility, and then go into next year, and maybe we're off to the races. I don't know.
Be prepared.
We're about 47 minutes into this show, so I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of alpha that I recently happened upon. A little pattern recognition thing that I am. Basically, what I saw was I pulled up the entire history of the Hex chart, and if you look at it, the first year and a half, it just looks like a flat line. Right? It just looks like dead. But
you got to put log on.
Yeah, right. But exactly 1.5 years after Hex launched and happened into so it happened I think it started in May of 21. The chart just started pumping like crazy, like unnaturally crazy. And so if Pulse Chain plays out, we could actually see 1.5. All I'm saying is if it pumps again in 1.5 years, just like how Hex did, we could actually see some major price action maybe this winter. Which me normally I'm like I'm a winter of 2025 kind of guy. So I'm like the cycles are pointing the winter of 2025, but if Pulse Chain starts launching a year and a half after launch, just like Hex did, expect some price action this winter, and it'll probably go up into the spring. So here's my thinking is that the last bull cycle, we had a double top, one in April, then it came down in June, and then it came back up in like October, November, and then it started to come back down. We might have a similar double top this time where it starts going up this winter, but then it really picks up in springtime, does a dip, and then it takes off again in winter of 2025. Now, that's just a theory.
Well,
it's just a crypto theory.
Let me throw this at you. We'll kind of like blow this up too. Many people could have and did make their entire cycle by selling in April and May of 21. Now, why do I say that? Right? They came in on the cycle for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they came in early and had gotten, when it was time to DCA, they had gotten in, and we had those blow off tops separated by a month, right, on Bitcoin in April, and then followed the month after in May. Now, we also had some people who sold for like some mega gains on Hex in that time frame, and they weren't wrong. They didn't know what was going to have to happen afterwards. And of course, we now know, yes, we had the announcement that we were going to be doing doing the sacrifices, or at least one of them, and then the second one came. Those all kind of artificially pumped value and prices in a way. There's some argument that the reason we went up the way we did, as high as we did, I say we, but Hex, went up that high, is because of the sacrifices. And so I would be keeping my eyes open for a possibility. What you said is true, that we may hit a top, that technically you'll see it as a blow off top, which is why Richard at the time said, hey, we hit the top. I don't know if you guys remember that. He said, we hit the top. And then we came back for another shot at it, but it wasn't a blow off on sentiment in November. It wasn't a blow off top. No, the indicator showed that. It was kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, some sort of retracement. Yes, it was a second top. So I think we should be looking for that.
I concur. And it does, and it goes, I was looking back to try to find some, I know that now you can see a lot of the Pulse Chain assets on TradingView. So I'm like, why can't I find it on TradingView? So I'm like, I'm distracted, but I'm distracted on topic, right? Like I'm still looking at, crypto related stuff. And I was looking back to see the Hex chart that goes all the way back to the launch, right? And it is on TradingView.
Let me see if I can find it.
I just found it. I'll see if I can drop you a link in the chat. But I found it, and I was like just curious as you were talking about that. But also, it goes in line with that fractal I've been talking about forever on the Bitcoin chart, which shows the double tops, and that we'd already hit the first one. And the way that it lined up, it was actually that first top from last cycle was going to hit earlier and lined up with the halving itself. And that's where months before the halving, I was telling people, it's like, hey man, it's like we could hit 74K by the halving, and they're like, that's crazy. And I'm like, I'm just saying, this is what the fractal did. And lo and behold, what did we do? I think we missed my mark by like $135 or something.
Yeah, I think you're.
And then we pulled back, and then we haven't gone down as far during that normal pullback. And like as Briz like to call it the crab walk sideways, right, through the summer. And then you get your second top with the like we did last cycle. But see, that's unique, right? We normally don't have two cycle tops. It's normally like one big blow off top, and then the alts follow it. So unless you go way back, right?
But how many halvings have there been? I'm not arguing with you. We're like four. Right? And so, how many cycles do we really have? Right? There was one other one. So half of them were double tops, right?
Well, this one we're assuming is basically almost. It's pretty much a double top again. So yeah, the first three were single tops. Maybe from here on out it's double tops. Maybe the next cycle it's a triple top. I don't know. But my point is like if we are getting this double top thing, and the RH tokens are kind of following suit with what happened according to that fractal, then there is a chance that some things happen late summer with the RH cycle coins, which also coincide, because I'm always looking for confluences and reasons to believe, right, or whatever you want, however you want to look at it. With the hearing in October, right? October 24th. If you've been following Nuclear Herbs, he's been great about like laying out kind of like what is likely to occur at that hearing. That could be a sell the news event, or we could do some anticipatory run up to it, and then we continue to pump after it because it's such good news, right? And then there you have that run, much like Hex did after the first Bitcoin cycle top. What was it, April of 21? And then May, June, July, August, September, 5 months later, in September, we hit the Hex top. And then a couple months later, Bitcoin retopped, right? And then we were rounding over by that point. So could be, since we're kind of in that trough period, as we are starting to go into that second run up in the fall for Bitcoin, maybe we front run that, or maybe we do right alongside it. I don't know, man. it sure ain't going to be boring to watch. And I think there's way more upside to be had in the future, and we're closer to the bull than we've ever been. So
before we switch to Bruce's chart here, I am interested in getting your opinion on the diminishing gains theory. I think that we broke diminishing gains, and I think we have a potential to be at that $240,000 Bitcoin level, which is not what I said before the ETF was approved. And I'm going off of the golden ratio averages and how we busted the rainbow chart. We busted it. So there's a certain level we should have stayed below, and if it was going to be diminishing gains, and so in that way, I think we're in a different situation than we ever have been before.
But just regarding this particular chart right here, I just want to. This is, I'm like looking at it. We launched in December 3rd of 2019, and so December of 2020 is a year later, and then boom, 5 more months, and look, it just started like a big FU, like a big middle finger.
Yep.
So I hope we get a big FU pump. That's all I'm saying, guys.
It could happen. It could happen. But yeah, it's tough, dude. It's like, this has been a long, grueling bear. There's been a lot of division amongst the community. It's like, I think that's what was different last time too, is that everybody kind of rallied around, the one thing. Like everybody was a hexagon, right? It's like you weren't a RH-ican. It was like there was only one RH token. It's hex. And so we were all, that's kind of what the core of the community was built around, is everyone talking about it, figuring out T-shares, figuring out staking ladders, talking about onboarding. We had the staker app. It's like, it was kind of like the salad days, right? The golden days of hex was that. And that was kind of like the core, the nucleus of like this gigantic community that's been created. And now it's like, we have a lot of these factions, these little splintered, former hexagons that, were kind of brought on board during the heyday, or maybe a little after the heyday, just because of the excitement around hex and RH and all that. And then we've got these sub communities, right? So is that good? Is that bad? Does it diffuse our energy? Does it raise the tide for everybody? There's a lot of questions there. So it's tricky, man. It's like, I was joking with a friend of mine the other day. I think Papa and I were talking. I'm like, dude, we need like a hex awareness month to where everybody on social media just agrees. I don't care, Maddie. I love you. I love that you got your token thing going. I want to learn more about it before I really, start being too critical of you, because I think that you got some other tricks up your sleeve. I think you did a video this week, but like I said, I wasn't in a headspace to dive too deep on anything complicated, but I'm going to go back and watch. I think it was a 56-minute video, and you alluded to it at the beginning that you were going to explain some misconceptions about your token. So if you're watching, I'm going to check that out. And then maybe I won't be so mean to you next Tuesday when you're back. Me and Briz are going to tag team you. But yeah, so basically my thought was, if everybody, even if you just launched your own token, even if you're too spooky, I'm talking to you in the Tang Gang, how fun and silly and hilariously what a failure it would be if we actually tried to have a hex awareness month to where nobody talked about anything but hex. Like that was it. Like you can't talk about any other token. Like we're going to have like a hex pride month, right? And it's like, it's just going to be talking about hex. I don't know.
I like it.
I like it. It's like, it ain't gonna happen. We can't get 3 people to agree on one thing in this fucking community. But
Pip Shinobi, he says, Toby, I feel like it's all just one big IQ test. Hex smart contracts has never worked. Pulse chain was created for us hexagons. People forget.
Hex smart contract has never not worked.
It's a double negative.
Yeah, it has never
that
not
means
worked.
It's always worked.
That means it's working. There's not, don't trust men, trust code, right? That's
true.
That's why, I mean, because I've had hex stakes come out over the last 3 years. You fucking retarded. It's like, of course I have. But, you know, did I liquidate them and all these other things? No. It's like, you know, did I trade them around a little bit? Did I do some cap loss harvesting and then try to buy back lower? Ideally, yeah. You know, did I do that stuff? But am I net positive on my hex and RH token purchases? Absolutely. And the reason that is because the code is the code, you know, and I know that Briz and I kind of, you know, like brothers, you know, we kind of fight back and forth a little bit on the EHEX PHEX thing, but it's the same fucking code, you know what I mean? And it's worked flawlessly on both chains for all this time. The problem on the E side is ETH, you know? So, I mean, if they solve their gas issues, then guess what? You got a pretty awesome asset over on the EHEX side if you didn't panic sell it all, right? Or you're staked and you're just waiting on those stakes to end and hopefully they get that shit under control. But the code works, right? It's like in the movie that I was a producer of. It's like one of my favorite lines is don't trust men. You know, you're asking crypto to be, you're asking Richard to give her a reason to trust him, right? The Kelly Richmond Pope was asking Richard in the movie, you know, why should I trust you? And he goes, you're asking me to do something that crypto was designed to circumvent. Like you are not supposed to trust men. You're supposed to trust code, right? And we've got that in Hex. It's like, it's eloquent. It's simple. It's not a ton of lines of code. I can't remember exactly how many lines, but it's not a hugely complex contract. And it was a sector that he had identified in traditional finance that was not being adequately reflected in the crypto space, which was the certificate of deposit or time locks, which is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And he created it, right? And it's like, and I still think it's the best store of value ever created. And it's just going to take time. I mean, look at how many years did it take us to get to where we are with Bitcoin, right? So, you know, maybe we just got a little drunk on the early gains and thought it was just going to be like that up and to the right forever. But, you know, volatility's in the game. You know, Bitcoin bros, talk to any one of them that have been in it a long time, you know.
The world is having a mass crypto awakening right now, I believe. You know, with Trump embracing crypto, everyone's like, wait a minute, that's okay now.
Right.
So I don't know. I think in the next, you know, probably 5 to 10 years, we're just gonna see more and more people get brought on via probably word of mouth, and then eventually it's just gonna flow in, and we're gonna be all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like the more people that are talking about it, the better, right? Because ideally, if you believe in the human race, if we got people talking about it, we got people in positions of power talking about it, then that's going to bring more eyeballs and more insight. And this isn't just eyeballs to pump our bags. This is eyeballs of people that are creators, developers, you know, forward thinkers that are going to come in and be like, wait a minute, oh, crypto, I didn't know we could do this and that and that. Or, you know, come in with ideas that no one's even thought of yet, you know, that can move blockchain technology forward. And the only way you get that is more people talking about it. So now instead of it being like this underground gambling circuit, you know, where it's the Silk Road and it's illegal drugs and money laundering and, you know, weapons trafficking and all this other shit that they would have you fear, right? And not that those things didn't happen, because they absolutely did. But now it's becoming more mainstream, where there's like actual products with real forward-facing founders with, you know, actual utility. Obviously, the meme space is going crazy. You know, NFTs last cycle were the big hot ticket. You know, we'll see how that plays out. But it gets people like, you know, Paris Hilton on Jimmy Fallon's show talking about NFTs, if you remember that last cycle. And that was a big news story.
What do you think of this comment, Toby?
I just happy shades overlit. Dude, I hope I'm Toby shades something. You know what? I'm on the cusp of shaving my head. I'm on the cusp of shaving my head, dude. It's the day is near. The day is nigh. And I did promise actually, if we were not to $1 collectively on the 2 hexes by this past January, that I would shave my head. And I did not welch. I just took it. I'm just like wait, time out. Just give me a little longer. let me live in my denial that I'm not going bald just a little longer. But it's hot as balls, like where I'm at right now. It's just really, really hot. So My fiance loves the mustache, but I couldn't hack it any longer. And same with the hair, dude. It's just hot. So I'm just ready to shave everything. So stay tuned, Jay.
I totally get you.
And Kevin from The Office is one of my favorite characters. I can't do it right this minute, but maybe later when I don't feel so on the spot, I do a fantastic Kevin impersonation. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, it's like I think it's tricky. It's hard to be out here in these streets when we don't have a bunch of green candles and a bunch of people, super excited about, the stuff that we're in. And, not to like break my arm, pat myself on the back, but it's like I really commend, guys like Briz and Crispy and Maddie and Hexo coming back around like at the bottom. It's like you don't usually see that, right? You usually see people pop back out of the woodwork when things are going well. Guys like Fast Abdul out there creating, I see him popping up in chat. So it's, kudos to the guys that are still here and guys and gals that are still here grinding it out.
Fast Abdul,
yeah,
we killed him for launching a shit coin.
Yeah, he's tied up in the back, so we got the car battery hooked up to his nipples. We're torturing him right now. He's probably just cringing at home, listening to all the shit we're saying. He's like, he's going to get my channel taken down.
I have to say, guys know Fast, obviously, from all these chats and whatnot. And
yeah, he's got a cool thing cooking.
And I haven't known him very well, over the months and years of, that he's been around. So I was pleasantly surprised just how professional he is and with his knowledge level. His capabilities.
The thing about Fast Abdul is that when I hear him talk, I don't feel like he's bullshitting me. Like he actually sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
And that in my opinion gives him a lot of legitimacy because he doesn't talk like me where he doesn't use a lot of like likes and ums and uhs. That's why they call him Fast Abdul. And that's
I guess.
That's how he.
Yeah, I got to learn a little more about the whole 2 fucks system. So I'll have to hit you up, Fast Abdul. I need a TLDR. I'm way behind on that.
I fell for the evil plan. Yeah, well, he and Yellow Cake have been around forever.
Yeah.
And I've spoken,
Hey, Sandy.
Loosely with Yellow Cake over the years. Just because I know him from being in chats, that's probably about as much. But now that I've been exposed to what they've been doing with two P Hucks
family show,
come on, we all know.
Then I've learned quite a bit from what they've been doing. So, anyways, just shout out to those guys. So thanks.
Yep. It is the correct pronunciation. Oh, wait, Fast Abdul. P Hucks is the correct pronunciation.
For family shows, it is.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like because my goal, if everything went bonkers in crypto, that I would like to be more philanthropic. Would I actually be philanthropic? There are lots of words that start with PH that are pronounced like an F. So, but I don't know. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on. So. We can let it pass.
I think the H.
When Sandy's here, got it. Okay, when Sandy's here, I agree.
I think the H is silent, and it's 2 pucks.
2 pucks.
2 bucks.
2 bucks. 3 bucks.
That would make hiking. That would make hockey more exciting. They had 2 pucks. Think about it.
All right, guys. We've been on for a little over an hour. I think we put on an all right show. I don't really have that much more to add. Kind of went through all my notes.
Relatively slow news week.
Oh.
Unless Crispy's got something up his sleeve. Are we wrapping it?
Or do you want to?
I got a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
We
can keep going.
Well, I'll save the Maxi stuff for a stream. I'm going to do a stream on that. And I went through and grabbed all the information I could to kind of come up with what is the What is the creed of the maxi, hex maxi, right? They have that. I think, Toby, you champion this idea that if you are switching to hex staking, that if you capture units at a low enough price, it helps you weather the storm.
Yes.
And so I worked on an analysis, which I'm going to detail. I'll do a blog post on it, some stuff, but just coming up with the numbers for today. So meaning if I did a comparison between like I'm doing hex staking versus I'm going to take my value and put it into a certificates of deposit. And so if I was going to do traditional versus hex mining, right, what would be the difference in the APYs, right? And with the assumption that the price doesn't change of hex. And then I went a little bit further with it and went backwards and said, okay, well, what if the price drops? What could I sustain in price and still be earning, in a price drop, still be earning in relation to, into CDs and still beat CDs, traditional CDs. So I came up with actual numbers that worked pretty good for this. It was pretty interesting, that we could sustain a pretty significant drop in the hex price today if you had a good staking ladder set up. And the reason for that is because the good staking ladder will be giving you greater APY. Now, like we were just talking a little while ago about 76% APY, right? So I'm not saying that these numbers are better, but it's a different risk profile, right? Doing hex staking for me is a different risk profile than farming, and a different risk profile to LP. And so, anyways, I just want to say I confirmed what you said, that yes, if you have not really short-term stakes, but if you have a good ladder, maybe spread over 15 years, you can beat the price volatility. And if we're in a situation where the price, you only had 1.5 cycles for hex. You can't make all the decisions based on this. So I'm guessing a little bit what happened in the future. But if we see something like Bitcoin, not in percentages, just that upwards and to the right over time, and like Ethereum, upwards and to the right over time, like Cardano, upwards, and you insert here, don't insert XRP, but all these other ones, right, up and to the right. You could really set up a passive income ladder with hex. Anyways, that's my conclusion. I already believe that, but I mean the data was.
Yeah, that's awesome to have like some quantifiable data behind the theory that I thought was pretty apparent. Because it's like even if the price stays flat and you are earning more every day because you're staked, just do the math, right? Like if your average APY is 38%. You could literally go down approximately half of that per year over year, and your dollar value would stay the same. And then the flip of that is if the price is going up and you're earning 38% more of those tokens a year, you're just simply amplifying your gains. So if you extrapolate that out to what Crispy's talking about, if you're able to capture even, because the driver there is T-shares, right? At this price level, you're getting X number of T-shares per dollar invested into the system. So if all of a sudden you can get T-shares at a significant discount, then as things start to move up, it's going to dramatically improve your average cost basis, because that's the whole deal, right? Like, what's your break even? Like, I've been bitching on Twitter, and to anyone that will listen to me, I didn't get in day one, and not because I listened to Richard. I could brag and be like, oh yeah, it's like I listened to the boss and he said don't ape in day one. I couldn't get in day one.
I didn't listen to him. What a freaking idiot!
I aped in so bad.
Did you really? See, I probably would have, to be honest, but I was waiting because I was fiddle farting around with getting my Bitcoin free claim from getting my stuff off of an exchange. And then apparently I didn't realize, that's when I learned about 48-hour wait list for whitelisting stuff, blah, 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 blah. So basically I couldn't get in until I wanted to until day 2. But my point is I'm a day 2 OG. And like at this point, I'm up like maybe 10 or 20%. It's like, what? It's like everyone thinks the OGs are just like in clover, right? It's like I didn't take any profit at the tops. I didn't take any profit at all, ever. It's like I rotated stuff back in and kept buying all the way down. And, I'm only up like, maybe 10, 15, 20%. And most of that staked. So it's not like I could just dump all my shit and be break even and be like, see you later. I wasted 5 years of my life. It's like I believe that hard that I think, this is where you should be getting in. If I had a crystal ball, not financial advice, of course, but it's like if I had a crystal ball, I would have held on to more my dry powder and been going hard at these levels, hard.
Yeah.
And getting those T-shares it's going to be silly.
With you, man. Yeah. I agree with you
Silly.
personally for myself, not telling anybody else what to do.
Right.
Because I did have a stream and for Pip, no hate on XRP. I still have a legacy bag of XRP, but I haven't. I just refer to them as not going up into the right. That's all.
Screw bread, garlic bread.
If you it's crazy. You're looking at. I did a stream this week with Kareem. I don't know if you'd seen that. I had to come back and correct some information that we put out that might not have been. I had to clarify it. But the situation though with the whole T-shares and everything's coming to a head. It's going to be, like everything in Hex. It's a long-term thing. It's not like it doesn't happen all in one moment. But you got payouts going up at a much higher rate now than they ever have before. Right. But the T-share rate's still going up into the right. But you've got payouts kind of going more vertical, and you have the count of T-shares becoming more vertical to the downside. And so we have this ever widening gap. So we're ending up with this self-fulfilling prophecy where we'll end up getting really well paid out.
Yep.
And I made a joke with the guys. I think Sami, maybe somebody else posted originally, but somebody was posting up about, it was Dip Catcher, and somebody was talking to Dip Catcher, and they were talking about all the there being too much inflation. And too much inflation was being paid.
Dip Catcher being negative? No,
never.
No, I don't think. I didn't take it as negative, other than it was some of the situation. But too much was being given out. Too much inflation was given out to minters, and that's what's holding back price. And I was a little tongue in cheek about it, but I came back and said, "Well, one solution if you want miners to get so much inflation is go stake some hacks, right? You take it away from them,
right?
But if you think all the way back, that was the whole purpose of this. The whole purpose was to reward people who are willing to lock up. Okay, and so that's what's happening, and so it's quite possible that we're going to see average APYs bust the 40% level. It may require that maybe the OA will do something. I don't know, but I wouldn't doubt if we wouldn't see potentially the average APY go into the 45-50% range.
Yeah.
And that would be super significant, I think.
Right.
See, to me, that's a real there's a pull and a and a push there, because if you got a high APR from here, that means you're getting more hex per T-share, right? But if the price of hex goes up, which we all want, even if it goes to like 50 cents, even at 30,000 hex per T-share, that means you have to spend 15 grand just to get a single T-share. And so where does it become like too expensive to acquire T-shares?
Oh, very soon.
Versus, how much the payout you get.
Well, I think you start getting to 10 cents. Even 10 cents is going to be too expensive for most people. And the way I figure it, I think it'll happen before 2030, but by the time we get to 2032, 34, it'll be $1 million a T-share. And
dude, I think we hit 10 cents this cycle easy.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He said, how when does it get expensive? It gets expensive. It's 10 cents. But think about this, guys. I mean, because you guys were both around the same time I was, right? So we're sitting there looking at these stakes. I'm like, oh, this payout. I thought we were going to get paid out rewards, and it was like, one hex per T-share, and I didn't really think that was a big deal, right? But I sure as hell thought it was a big deal when that rose to be 5 or 6, and then all of a sudden hex was worth 40 cents, right? And so, or 30 cents, you insert number there, right? And so I think another thing that's going to happen is somebody was asking, like, when will this turn around? Well, a T-share pays 7 hex roughly right now. And our good friend Randy Hilarski recommends to his folks, hey, take your position in hex minimum of 100 T-shares, something he talks about. I like that number, round number. What happens if you get 100 T-shares? You're getting paid 700 hex a day. If you tell me that people aren't going to be excited when hex is at 50 cents, because I think it'll get back there, and they're getting $350 a day worth of value.
Right.
I think that, those are the types of things that right now it feels all depressed. People are upset. I get it. I feel the same way, but I just push through it. But when you're making, if you actually, and I know it's on paper, guys, but if the value is $350 a day, and that's 365 days a year, that's $120,000, $127,000 a year. Yep. During that period, right? That's what people are going to be looking at. They're gonna freak the hell out. Because that will be the thing. Unfortunately, right? That's when people will get super interested and be able to be like, oh, hex is wonderful. Look at this. We should all go buy. Now it's at 60 cents, right? And I'm going to be there to say, hey, yeah, just be aware. We're probably going to see dips. There's going to be a bottom. If you're doing your planning, do multi-cycle planning, not short term, because it's going to be very similar to everything happened to other people, that bought in at 30, 40 cents.
Yep. I think that I fall into this trap probably as much as anybody, if not more so, where I feel like I understand T-shares and hex staking ladders and like the whole dynamic so well that I forget that the majority of people coming in now haven't a fucking clue. They don't have any idea of the power of T-shares. We've been so indoctrinated with it and so immersed in it for so long. It's like, I don't think we realize that our jargon and our language has left newcomers behind. And it's real easy for a newcomer to understand a meme token that just did a 10,000x or whatever, right? And think that they're going to grab the next one. So I think it's maybe a narrative change, just spitballing here as far as because I was talking when you were taking your dog out, like we should have a hex awareness month or a hex pride month where it's like everyone just agrees we don't talk about anything but hex for a month. Like if you came into this ecosystem because of RH and because of hex, then shut your fucking mouth about all the other tokens for 30 days, and let's just talk about hex. Now, do I think that'll work? No, but something else to throw and see if it sticks against the wall is just a general narrative change. Like what's not Maddie? What's Sami's big thing, right? 10% lottery, 90% core. So if you want to do the lottery of lotteries, right? 10% lottery, 90% core. That's his MO. If you want to do the lottery of lotteries, hex T-shares, right? And also, in a weird way, it also is not just a lottery, but it's also kind of alongside the narrative of traditional finance. When you think of like a 401k, what are you putting into your 401k? What are you putting into your retirement account? You're buying blue chips. You're buying stuff that's going to be solid 30 years from now because you don't have any inkling that you're going to touch it between now and then, right? You don't trade in your retirement account. You put it into something solid that's chugging away and making a good yield, right? Making good increases over time. Well, to me, hex kind of answers both those questions. At these levels, it could be a lottery ticket. Also, it feeds the narrative of delayed gratification. And if people were educated in such a way that's like, hey, we're not telling you 90% hex, do 10% hex. If you want to go if you have your own set of core coins, or you're just a meme guy, you just want to go meme crazy, that's fine. Take 10%, throw it into hex, get some
100% hex.
Right?
Nothing less.
But take 10% because dude, think about how when I don't know, you guys both said you ate day one. I did not. I went in day two and I limped in. I didn't ape in, I limped in. I went in real light because I wasn't so sure. I didn't put a ton of money in. The bulk of my money went in right before big payday. So it's like I gradually added in all year long that first year. But my biggest tranche that I threw in was right before big payday. You know, so I mean, I think that that's the thing, is that I had to be taught, like, over time, the light bulbs started going on, like the power of T-shares and what could be made with longer stakes and all that. Longer pays better. Yada, yada.
You can call me Mr. T-share.
There you go. That's cool.
Mr. T-share. Well,
but I think as far as like getting through to the kids out there, right? Getting through to the youth, like the guys that are all like wanting to find the next new hot ticket, you know, is it going to kill you to take 10 cents of every dollar and throw it toward Hex and build and throw a stake out there, for 5 years, 10 years, and then and then look back and be like, holy shit, why didn't I buy more of that?
Yeah, I get your point. Of course, I think it should be 90%, but that's me.
Well, yeah, but you get it's like a crack dealer, Crispy. You give them the first rock for free, you get them in, and then they're addicted, and then they come in, and next thing you know, they're mortgaging shit to buy more of it, like my dumbass.
So I have every reason to believe that 4 years from now, a T-share is going to be like $2,000. You know.
Right.
$3,000.
But nobody believes you
at this point in the cycle.
But that's what I'm saying. I believe you.
But we go backwards. If we go back,
you guys don't believe us.
If we go back 4 years ago, what was the T-share price? Guess. You know, you probably know, but you give me a number.
4 years ago, it was like 10,000 Hex.
4 years ago. 2020, $43 a T-share.
Oh, dollar wise. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. So $43 a T-share, and now they're $220, and so at least a 5x, so at least $1,000 at a minimum.
Right.
You know, 4 years from now, and I'm going to bet you it's higher.
Yep.
You give
I agree, but it's like how
you give them the first little bit for free. Next thing you know, you're snorting pulse. You're gonna have a stack of duels with ass crack.
Maddie's gonna pull the plug on the stream remotely right now. See you guys. Oh wow! Yikes! I don't know how we follow that one up.
Well, I think we're about done for tonight. Thank you, Briz. I know you're tired and you're not feeling well. So I'll let you go.
This is a green smoothie with some Alka-Seltzer Cold in it. Not advisable. Don't mix the two. Just saying.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this crazy adventure. Hopefully Maddie is back next week. If you have any questions about what he was doing, check out his Thursday show. Apparently he asked a lot of questions. Everyone seemed satisfied from what I heard. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go watch it probably later tonight.
Yeah, I might go watch it right now. I got an extra hour. I thought we'd be on like our normal time. So I got an extra hour before my fiance will be eyeballing me. So I'm going to go watch it right
everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. And ChrispyMan, any last words?
I got nothing else for you, man. Good.
I don't know how he plays the in-stream music. So
we'll just do it a cappella. Oh, terrible.
We're fucked.
Bye.
Stay crispy.